Hi everyone, how are you? Hope you're doing really well. Welcome back to my channel. If you haven't met, hi, you can call me Chana, and this is my channel. And I think you can hear my cat purring. Do you say that? Purring, right? Well, she's here on my lap, not my cat, not the one that you have seen in videos plenty of times, but my sister's cat. Maybe I'll show you. There she is. Julie. Ven acá. Ven acá. ¿Qué pasa? Mira para allá. Yeah. She is Julie and it's my sister cat. You have seen her a couple of times, but she is not my cat. It's my sister cat. So she'll be here with us for this video. So if you hear something, probably is her. But that's not the point of this video. Today, as you can see in the title, we have an update for a project that I really enjoy. And I feel like I say that about all of my projects. I really love this project because this is a project that's all about rotating your eyeshadow palettes. I saw this project for the first time in Chick channel, and for me it's real fun. Her project is a little bit different than mine, but I'm choosing 4 eyeshadow palettes that I have to use 15 times to be able to roll them out and roll something new in. I have a good update, not the best update, but a pretty good update. So let's start with this video. First, I want to mention that last update I rolled in my Huda Beauty Ruby Obsession palette. The goal was to use it 15 times, but I used it 3 times before decluttering it. I still have that palette somewhere because I haven't been able to find a new home for it, but it's not longer on my collection, so that is going to be a rollout. Even if I just use it 3 times. I think it was 3 times or something like that. But yeah, that's the first palette we're going to roll out. If you want to hear a little bit more about that palette and why I declutter it, you'll have my video of my declutter over here. Only if you're interested. That is my cat. Hi, pretty. And she's gone. Okay, so let's start with the palettes that I have on my collection, starting from the oldest to the newer on this project. I think it was in the second update that I rolled in this palette. This is one of my newer palettes on my collection, and I decided to roll it in before I forget about it, and I have used this palette 15 times. Last update I told you that I wasn't feeling really inspired by the greens of this palette, so in the last 2 months or something like that, I've been using this palette mostly for these shades over here, especially this one, just like the 20. For me, it's a perfect transition shade, and I hope I never have to hit pan on it because I have used it a lot of times and there is barely a dip on it. I'm not a big fan of green eyeshadow, especially because it's not an easy color to work for me, but I feel like this palette, it's a really good palette for someone that wants a little bit of green but nothing too crazy. I shared at some point a 3 looks 1 palette with this one. Maybe for next update I'll start to take pictures of the looks I do with the palettes, but I haven't done that so far, so I'll take note of that. So the child palette is going to be the second eyeshadow palettes that we're going to roll out for this project. In the same update that I rolled in the child palette, I rolled in my Zodiac palette, and I don't know why I haven't been using this palette as much as I thought that I was going to use it. Today the shimmers that I'm using on my eyes are from this palette, but I don't know, I feel like this is the perfect palette for winter, but just I haven't been reaching for it. I don't know why. Today I'm using this shade, the Scorpio, Aquarius, the matte one, and Pieces. But I don't know, I have used this palette 9 times since I rolled it in, and I don't know why. I was hoping to be able to roll this one out too by this point because I've been working on it for like 3 months maybe. Maybe it's because it's kind of bulky. It has 24 shades, but it's a huge palette. If I compare the size of this palette with this one, it's like 4 times the size of this palette. I don't know, but I really been enjoying this palette. I especially like the metallic shades in this palette, but I don't know, I'm not sure what's happening with this palette, because even if I have used this palette 9 times, I feel like there is a lot of shades that I haven't used at all. Like this shade Aries, how do you pronounce Aries in English? It's so pretty. It looks really pretty, but I haven't used it. I haven't used Libra either. I haven't used Sagittarium either. And are shades that look super pretty, but I haven't been using. So yeah, I really hope that in the next couple of weeks, maybe in 2 weeks, I don't know, I want to roll it out, but I really want to use it at the same time, so I don't know. And the last palette that we have in this project is my Jackie Aina palette. This one I rolled it in last update, that it was like 2 months ago maybe. Yeah, this is one of my newer palettes. It was a gift like for myself for my birthday in May, and since May I have bought and received a lot of palettes, but I'm trying to use my newer palettes one at a time. So once I have hit the 15 uses in this palette, I'm going to start using a new palette. I have used it 11 times so far, and that's the point that I was saying. This one I rolled it in last update, and I have used it more time than this one, and this one I rolled it in before this one. So I don't know why I'm not using this palette. But also there is an incentive for me to want to use this palette. First, because it's just a gorgeous palette. I really love this color story, and I feel like especially these shades over here are just perfect for the season that I am right now, that is winter. What I was saying, oh yeah, I feel especially motivated to use this palette because I really want to start using my other newer palettes, but for that I need to roll this one out. Next update I think is going to be sooner, like maybe in 3 weeks or something like that, because I feel like I'm going to be able to meet the goal in these two palettes pretty soon, because I need 4 more uses in this one, 6 more uses in this one. So yeah, I'm hoping the next update is going to be sooner. But there is something else that I want to mention about this palette. This palette is also in my Pando's Eyeshadows project. I rolled in the shade Edges, and you have a little spoiler that I haven't hit goal. I haven't hit pan on it, but those two projects has a really different goal. For me, the use in my eyeshadow palettes project is that my goal is to use the whole palette, not just one shade. And the Pando's Eyeshadows, as the name says, has the goal to use only one shade and to hit pan on it. If you end up using the rest of the palettes, that's great, but it's not the point of that project. I really don't want to hit the 15 goals only using the shade that is in my Pando's Eyeshadows. For that reason, I decided to create a rule for this project that if there is an eyeshadow in my Pando's Eyeshadows that's in the palettes that I'm working on, I only will count as an use. How do I explain this? Let me show you, because I feel it's going to be easier if I show you. For example, if I only use this shade to create a look, that is a use for me. If I use this whole palette for a look, that is a use for me. But since I don't want to only use this shade for the 15 uses in this palette, I decided that only using this shade will count as a use 5 times. If I do that like 6 times, if I'm only using this shade, will only count 5 times. But if I, for example, use this shade and this shade, that's okay, that's completely okay. This rule is only for when I only use the shade that is in my Pandos eyeshadows. I really hope that I explain myself, because language is not my first language, and sometimes explaining things might be a really hard task. So those are the palettes that I've been working on. As I said, this one is a rollout. The Ruby Obsessions is a rollout because I decluttered that palette, even if it's still on my house. And for that reason, we're going to be rolling in 2 new palettes. These 2 palettes I received in the beginning of the year, both of them from BoxyCharm, I think. Yeah, both of them. First, we're going to roll in this palette. This is the New England palette from Ciate. And this palette is in another project that I'm doing on my Instagram account, but I haven't been doing any progress on that project. This is the palette, and I need to hit pan on some of the shades, but I haven't even been using it. For that reason, I think it's going to be a good idea to roll this one in this project, so I'll be able to focus in some of these shades. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to hit some pans, maybe in this shade over here. And I think it's not going to be too hard to use this palette. Like, these shades are pretty good for winter, like jewel tones, right? And the next palette that I'm going to roll in this project is a palette that it has been on my collection since January, and I have only used it once, and I only use one shade. So it's not one of my newer palettes, but it's pretty new and like brand new, like I haven't used it. And that is my Scion palette from Hip Dot. And this palette, it's so pretty. I don't know why I haven't used it. Well, I think I know, because lately I only use the palettes that are on different projects. But yeah, this is the palette. It's purple, and I feel like I haven't been using purple for so long now, and I cannot wait to use this lilac, this pink. I even want to use that one, even if it looks kind of reddish. Look at that, it's so pretty. I'm excited. I'm really excited. And I feel like this shade over here that is called Wanderlust, it's going to be such a pretty transition shade. Ooh, this is an interesting shade, the reddish one. It's kind of a how are you called? It's not strawberry, wild berry. How are you called? Frambuesa. Raspberry. It looks like it looks like a raspberry, so I'm excited to use that. But yeah, I think that's all for this video. I thought that it was going to be a short video. ¿Qué? ¿Qué quieres? But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, please consider subscribing. I will love that. And I hope I'll see you in the next one. Bye!